Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome. Wanted to talk about the patch that just came out October 15th of 2024 for Age of Empires 2. This is a really nice patch. I'm going to prioritize it based on what I think are the most important things. Let's get into it. Just to read a couple of the things here at the top. Empire Wars is back. It's no longer the Red Bull ladder, so that pretty much stays the same. They've made some fixes to the Victors and Vanquish DLC scenarios. There's new quality of life changes. Not many, but a really big thing, which I think is quality of life for like playing in the game, which we'll talk about, and then bug fixes, and then some juicy balance changes. Okay, so the big thing that stands out here, maybe my favorite thing from the whole update here, is the civilization selection screen has been changed. The civilization selection dialog sports a new look. The new design includes the ability to mark civilizations as starred. Basically, you can add custom civilizations into a pool and randomly play from those civs. I'll show you what it is. Okay, so here's the ranked queue, right? You can go into it, you can click custom, and then you can basically play a pool of civilizations. So let's say you like Berbers, Chinese, Huns, Hindustanis, Gurjaras. You go confirm, and now you are playing with those civilizations. Those 5 civilizations are going to be the only ones you get. Now, it's a little weird. Like, there's aspects of this which aren't immediately clear on how it works. It's a little scuffed. For example, I don't know, do I need to do this still? I think you do. So you're like force picking civilizations. I also find it a little weird that you could like select these with a star and confirm, but then like if you don't click custom, you've selected all these for nothing and it doesn't work. It's not immediately clear, but it's still a really cool idea. If, say, you really like certain types of civilizations, but you're too scared to go random. I think a lot of people are playing with one civ all the time because they don't want to get, like, the 20 or so they don't know. So now I think it could lead to a better online ranked experience, a little bit more variety, a little bit more comfort. Okay, then moving on, there's a couple gameplay things. They've made it so deer ignore small obstacles, so it makes it pushing deer a little bit easier, basically. And then I think the big one, while these other ones maybe are important, I don't think so. The assisted farm placement can now place farms around town center foundations. So like the auto farm placement, which I still need to make a follow-up video on, before you couldn't start to auto place farms around TC foundations. Now you can. That's a really nice change. They fixed an issue which is kind of funny, where kings occasionally attempt to attack back. Again, I don't know how important that is. They've also fixed some issues with like sending invites, fixed some issues with monks, and then my personal favorite, fixed an issue where 1 HP Mongol Scout Cavalry with Bloodlines no longer dies when reaching Castle Age. Yeah, so that was happening. They did a bunch of things to the Victors and Vanquish campaigns, which I'm going to skip through. That's not something I've had a lot of focus on. And as you can see, there's a lot of tweaks, a ton of tweaks to Victors and Vanquish. And we make our way to the balance changes, where I think this will shake things up a little bit. First thing is Battle Elephant conversion resistance has been increased. So they're trying to incentivize elephants. A big weakness of elephants is monks can just convert them. I kind of like this change personally. They've reduced the price of the crossbow upgrade just a little bit. They've made it 25 gold less. Crossbows seem to be very weak in our meta right now, so I like that change as well. And then along the same lines, they made Arbalest cheaper. I like both these changes. It's nothing crazy, and it still may be an issue for Crossbow and Arbalest to have success right now if there's reasons for that. But I like the changes. The big ones, though, are what they're doing with siege units. Battering ram attack versus buildings increased from 125 to 150. So that makes ram stronger before capped ram. Then capped ram has been increased from 150 to 160. So obviously very good for civs that are just like stuck at capped ram. Armored elephants also have an increase in attack versus buildings. And then probably the biggest one, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it, scorpion projectiles are now affected by ballistics. So if you research ballistics with any civilization, scorpions are affected by ballistics now. You're not missing shots. I think scorpions are going to be really strong because of this. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but that's the change. They've also increased the armor of palisade gates because palisade gates, I guess, were a bit vulnerable. They've made some changes to trade collision to make trading more efficient, which I like. And then the other big one from this patch would be the market-based exchange rates for food prices increased from 100 to 115. So initial food prices are more expensive and selling provides more gold. So basically, it is more expensive to buy food. We see a lot of games where players will just drop the market and buy food to rush that Castle Age timing. Now you can still do that, but it comes at a greater cost, right? This does also have a bit of an effect on Saracens, let's say, because Saracens rely on the market a bit more. But yeah, the wood and stone exchange rates are unchanged. It is pretty much the buying of food it is more expensive. And then when you sell off food, you get a little bit more gold in return. I think the big reason they did this is because of the phosphorus strategies, which I've made a lot of videos on. Players have really taken to the extreme. He's one of them. Sending everything to gold and buying resources has given people lots of success. I don't want the market to be nerfed fully. I think the market is good. It allows comebacks. It allows stabilizing. I think it's important for the game. But I like what they've done here because it does mean you need to have a little bit more of a balanced economy. You can't just rely on the market as long. So still think strategies all in with the market will be good. Maybe just not as good now. So in my opinion, a welcome change. Okay, so now with Civs, they've made the Aztec faster producing military bonus a bit stronger. Aztec win rate's been pretty low, so they bumped that up to 15%. They have nerfed the training time for the Hussite wagons by 4 seconds, so it's a bit harder to mass them, which I think makes sense. They have slightly nerfed the Byzantine fire ships and Dramens. I think they'll still be really, really strong, but not quite as strong. Again, a good change. They fixed a slight issue with the Chinese team bonus, which I didn't really know too much about, so I think that's fine. They've buffed the Theresidae to make that ship a little bit stronger. I like that because it's not a ship that we've seen a lot, though I think the bigger issue with it is the fact it's an Imperial Age ship, so you can't really get the mass in Castle Age. Whatever. They have nerfed the Manaspa, which is long overdue. Basically, they've made this unit more of a glass cannon. They've reduced the HP. They're keeping the attack. I like it. I think it may mean that the Georgians mix in Manaspa with Cavalier to get the extra attack and still have more HP instead of just spamming Manaspa. I still think the cost could be an issue. I still think the production speed could be an issue, but it will be very squishy. So a good change for now. They have nerfed the Hunnic horse, which I think is so funny. A lot of people seem to think that was really strong. It is really strong to have a little scouting horse on Nomad maps, but it's kind of niche, so that's just slower now. And up to this point, I've really liked all the changes they've made. Scorpion one's a little weird for me. We'll talk about that. But guys, ballista elephants projectiles are now affected by ballistics as well. So I guess they wanted some type of consistency there, because if scorpions are affected by ballistics, the ballistas should as well. I think ballista elephants are OP if you get enough of them. Granted, they're really expensive, right? So that makes that unit so much stronger. Wouldn't surprise me if we see a nerf of the unit in like the future, like a couple patches from now, once people figure that out in late game. They've reduced the elite turtle ship upgrade, which I think is a good change. It's another unit that's tough to see. They've also increased the speed, so they've made them faster. I mean, elite turtle ships are really strong. It's just a question of getting to them in most cases. They have also increased the conversion resistance for the war elephants to, fit the other battle elephant change. They have added a new bonus for the poles, where Bloodlines and Scoutline upgrade costs 50% less food. I think what they've done here is they realized that poles are really complicated to play on open maps, so they want to give them some early bonuses. Poles are insane in closed map scenarios where they don't have to, wall up and whatnot, so that was never an issue. It was more so Arabia, let's say. So there's buffs poles there. I think this is going to make poles a lot stronger on Arena as well, right? So I think poles become way more dangerous there than they were. It's a nice change for the poles. It's going to be a complicated civ to play against in certain scenarios for sure. The Portuguese, they have nerfed the training time of the organ gun, and then they have reduced the training time for the Caravel. This one's tricky. I feel like the Caravel and organ gun balance is such that they either destroy everything or they die to everything with very little in between. I think there's other issues with the organ gun balance. This whole inaccuracy with the shots has actually just made it stronger, but it's harder to mask them now, so they're trying to make it weaker, which makes sense. And then, last but not least, the Romans. The civilization bonus that benefits Scorpions wording was adjusted since all civilization Scorpions are now affected by ballistics. So basically, they took a bonus away from the Romans because they gave it to everybody, and they didn't actually replace it. So this civilization's going to just be without a bonus and maybe get a bonus in the future. I thought that was kind of surprising that they didn't replace it with something new. Okay, so balance-wise, it's going to take some getting used to for me with the Scorpions and ballistics. I actually think Scorpions could be really good in like the high level now. A big reason that the Scorpions, like heavy Scorpion was never seen is because, well, lack of mobility is still an issue. Dies to, let's say, like bombard cannons is still going to be an issue. But now it feels like if you make them, you're at least going to do some damage instead of losing your initial mass. We'll see how that goes. I mean, ballistics is an expensive upgrade. I think it's still a little weird to research ballistics for, just Scorpions. We never really saw it with the Romans, for example. So we'll see how that goes. For old farts like me, I think it's going to take some getting used to seeing that be the case. I think we're going to have some big highlights with lots of kills with Scorpions, though. One final thing that I think's of note is they've made some changes to pathfinding. They've fixed where units would occasionally go through walls. They've fixed where a group of unit would not have the correct pathfinding in cases where some units in the group are stuck. They've fixed excessive sideways movements of large groups, which I think is essentially regrouping, which is the issue I've seen over the past 5 or 6 months. I don't trust that. I never trust that. When it says fix, I know there's probably going to be more issues with it. But let's hope it's better, and we'll find out over the next couple weeks how the pathing actually is. It certainly has been kind of a rough couple months as far as unit grouping is concerned. So yeah, that's it, guys. Short and sweet. Give me your thoughts. I'll obviously be making videos all the time on this, and maybe can give more detailed thoughts on certain things over the next couple weeks. If you did not see the single-player DLC video, I have that in the description, so you could check that out and hear kind of what's coming in a month and my thoughts on all that if you didn't see it already. That's it for me. See you guys soon, and exciting times.